In the quiet mountain town of Ashford, Idaho, there were only two sounds after midnight. The sharp whistle of the wind through the pine trees and the soft static of 103.1 FM, a tiny local radio station known simply as WQBR, the voice of the gorge. Every night, the airwaves belonged to Frank Miller, a retired military radio operator with a warm, calm baritone that felt like a trusted friend. His late-night program, After Midnight, was a lifeline for truckers, night shift workers, and insomniacs. Frank's motto was simple: "Good night, Ashford. We have a long road and honest music." The station was small, a single studio, an equipment room, and a cramped archive filled with dusty reel-to-reel tapes. Frank wasn't alone. He had Val, the station's grumpy technician, and May, a journalism student doing her internship. Together, they kept the old station alive, even as other local stations shut down. The Night of Legends. A week before Halloween 2016, After Midnight announced a special theme, a night dedicated to local legends and ghost stories. Callers flooded in with eerie tales, hunters, old women, college kids, everyone wanted to share. The station's social media exploded with photos of mysterious lights over Grace Lake and rumors of voices from the abandoned mines. The ratings skyrocketed. Frank joked on air. "Don't just look for what glows in the dark, folks. Listen for what listens back." The final broadcast. The last known broadcast began at 11:57 p.m. Outside, light snow fell, the wind howled, and the old antenna crackled with electricity. May brewed coffee while Val checked the ancient transmitter. On Frank's desk sat a clean reel, ready to record the entire show, so memory can't lie, as Frank liked to say. Tonight, Frank whispered into the mic, his voice unusually tense, "We're talking about voices that return." The first half hour went smoothly. Truckers called in with creepy stories, a teacher requested a jazz song, a veteran shared a strange wartime radio experience. Then, at 12:23 a.m., the phone rang with a very distinctive three-pulse ring. Only one caller ever used that, a mysterious listener known only as Jude. Frank picked up. The voice of Jude. At first, there was nothing but static. Then, breathing. Too close. Too steady. "WQBR, you're on the air," Frank said calmly. "Go ahead." A whisper came through, broken and unnatural. "They are listening." "Who's listening?" Frank pressed. The static deepened into a low hum. Val yanked off his headset. The signal's bleeding across every channel. May's hands shook as she adjusted the controls. Frank leaned forward, keeping his composure. "Where are you, Jude?" he asked. No answer. Only the strange, rhythmic whispering that began to sync with the studio's flickering lights, as though the sound was pulling at reality itself. The impossible call. At 12:31 a.m., the phone rang again, but this time the call originated from inside the station. Val ripped out the main phone cable, yet the ringing continued, echoing through the empty hallways. Frank slowly reached for the receiver. On the line was his own voice, but distorted. "Frank, don't turn around." May screamed. Val spun around toward the dark equipment room, and the window flashed with blinding light as though someone had walked past. The recording reel spun wildly even though the reels weren't moving. The counter ticked up, recording something unseen. The town begins to hear. By 12:40 a.m., calls flooded in. Listeners across town reported bizarre phenomena. Lights turning on and off in empty houses. A baby laughing in perfect sync with the radio hum. A fisherman at Grace Lake swearing he saw faces beneath the ice. But the strangest thing, every call had the same background noise. A low, endless hum, like the beating of a massive underground heart. Frank's voice, calm as ever, addressed the growing chaos. "We are live together. Those who listen, must answer. The deal." At 12:52 a.m., Jude's voice returned. This time it spoke clearly, emotionless. They were beyond range. Until now. They are inside. Inside what? May demanded, forgetting her mic was live. The reply chilled them all. Inside your rooms. In the wires. In the silence between songs. In the breath between your words. They learn. Val frantically cut the power. But the transmission continued even with the transmitter unplugged. The signal wasn't coming from the station anymore, it was coming to it. Frank stood slowly, microphone in hand. What do you want? He asked the darkness. The temperature in the room plummeted. Frost formed on the inside of the windows. On a dead monitor, glowing text appeared. Do not turn it off. Silence is the door. The door opens. At 12:59 a.m., the station's clock jolted backward. Snow instantly coated the windows as if time had been rewound. Frank obeyed the cryptic warning and fell silent. For a moment, there was nothing, not even static. Then came a whisper, from everywhere at once. Open. The studio door swung wide. Beyond it wasn't the hallway, but pure darkness, with a faint glow like the light of an old tube radio. Val started to step forward, but May yanked him back. Frank approached the threshold and spoke steadily. If we open, will you speak? The reply was his own voice, warped and hollow. We are already speaking. Frank didn't flinch. Then tell us who you are. Your listeners. The last words. At that exact moment, the town's radios all switched on by themselves. Listeners later swore they heard dozens of voices, overlapping, speaking their own names in perfect unison. The studio filled with cold, crushing silence. May grabbed the old phone, and heard Frank's voice, faint and distant. Turn off the radio. They're listening. Frank faced the darkness. Once, he said into the mic, I used radio to guide ships through storms. If someone is knocking on the wave, you either answer, or lose the map. What are your terms? He asked. Give us words. We will breathe through them. Frank nodded slowly. I'll leave you a story. One story for the night. You release my people and leave our frequency. Agreed. Tell us what came before you. And Frank began to speak. He told the history of radio, of the first sparks, of lonely winter broadcasts, of voices leaping across oceans. His story was beautiful and terrifying, every word filling the room with a cold, resonant energy. As he spoke, May swore she saw faces flickering in the static, leaning closer to hear him. When Frank finally stopped, the cold receded. Val could move again. The door closed, and behind it was only a normal hallway. At 1:27 a.m., the entire station shuddered with a deafening burst of silence. The broadcast ended. The aftermath. By morning, the building was empty. The sheriff found steaming coffee cups, still warm equipment, and a single reel on the recorder. Exactly 1 hour of perfect silence. But when audio techs boosted the levels, a faint chorus emerged under the silence. A single, endless note, like a choir humming. And just before the reel clicked off, a whisper. Turn off the radio. They're listening. Frank, Val, and May were never found. The legend of WQBR. The station was shut down permanently. Yet every year, on the anniversary of that night, a faint signal appears on 103.1 FM. If you tune in with an old antenna, you'll hear Frank's calm voice. Good night, Ashford. We are live together. Behind his words is that same low hum. The sound of something breathing through the wires. Some who listen claim that afterward, they can hear the broadcast without a radio. In refrigerators, in the pipes of their houses, even in the pauses between loved ones' sentences. And if you ever wake at 3:17 a.m., hearing a voice you don't recognize whispering your name. Do not turn on the radio. Because doors of silence open both ways.